Hello, Culture Matters podcast. The excitement is building by the second. I'm either about to turn mute or have a revelation. Before I introduce you to our guests and them to one another, here's a quote just for this podcast. Because I care, I encourage you, don't F this up. MDC, Mike Calhoun. Our guests today are some of the most important people to me in my life. They're regulars of the Culture Matters podcast. You know them if you know me enough to pay attention to what we've been doing over the last few years. They've been on the show more times than I can count. I'll start by saying that I never have as much fun as I do going on Fobby Naghmi's podcast. I it's indescribable how much value he creates and everything he's done for definitely more than 2 decades. He's been a leader in his industry, but it's so much bigger than that now that he's got endless reach. Nathan Merrill is more than just an obsessor over tile, a true artisan who's joined us, a true artisan at what he does, a master at what he does. He's a Culture Matters Make-A-Wish philosopher. We have the best conversations around philosophy as often as we can. And it's hard to describe him because he's truly charted his own course in the world. I challenge anyone listening to this to go listen to episode 694, our most recent with Nathan Merrill, and episode 361, my most recent with Fobby Naghmi. Now, Mike Calhoun is here for, and what are we doing, by the way? Episode 552, What is an Advisor? This is the New Year's Eve Jubilee. Every New Year's we get together, or I used to get together and have an interview back to back to back with people I actually care and love. And after further growth from spending time and learning from people like Fobby, for example, Potapalooza, he'll talk, I'm going to talk about that. Mike Calhoun. And of course, we're dedicating today to John Schwartz, who wanted me to be the best version of myself. And I've started introducing people because of his spirit all year long. So in the spirit of all of that, the New Year's Eve Jubilee starts today. So if you're following along and you followed all the episodes, go just sorry, my wife's calling me. It's probably important. Fobby, meet Mike Calhoun, Fobby Naghmi,
Hey,
Nathan Merrill,
my
meet
wife.
Fobby, so I can call Jenna back
Yeah, me
immediately.
call her back.
Meet each other, talk to each other. Love you guys. Hold on one second.
You gave me control last time. I can take the control back again, Jay. Not a big deal.
How we
Guys, how
doing?
That's
you
great.
doing? Nathan, you're into tiles? Is that what it is?
Yes, I'm a tile installer.
Tile installer.
Yes. I've lived a bit of an eclectic life, and now I'm just a lowly tile installer. I'm a second generation tile installer.
Oh, hold on, Nathan. We gotta stop right there, man. There's no such thing as a lowly. Let's not go down that road.
Well,
I come from a country where everything is layered by society and stuff. So we
yes.
left that behind in the old country.
Where where is the tile installed in the fabric of the home, not the fabric of the home, but the geological layering of the home? Where is the tile?
Yeah, man. I mean, tiles are
It's
important.
it, I know I'm saying literally it's on the floor. So
Well, not
so
always. No. My
no,
wife.
no, you're right.
No,
You're
no,
right.
no, no. You haven't met my wife, have you? She
No,
has.
you're right. I spend most of my time in tile showers, actually. You are correct.
See?
But yeah, well, what would you like me to say? I'm the
No.
Nathan, the high and mighty.
There it is. I like that. High and mighty. I'm the Marble Man. Marble Man. How's that?
Right.
Mike Marble Man. Triple M.
Right. I like it.
Do
I
you
like it.
do
Yeah.
marble? What do you do mostly?
Custom I do custom work in custom homes, that sort of thing. Tile showers. It really is. I'm a subcontractor. I'm not going to Jay is a wonderful wordsmith, and he does a great job of making me feel great about what I do. And I'm not trying to disparage. Let's not start off this podcast with me disparaging what I do. I love what I do. I really thoroughly enjoy it. But I also love uh I just love the language. You know,
Yeah.
I would love to be known as a lowly tile
Although
installer.
I've seen one Turkish bathhouse where the tiles were on the ceiling.
Hmm.
Now, why did I notice them on the ceiling? I don't want to get into, but they were there.
In a Turkish bathhouse, that could be for any number of reasons. Um, you know, I don't know. Either they were explicit tiles or they were falling, perhaps. I don't know what,
The guy
but
said it controlled the moisture or something inside the bathhouse that way.
So
yeah, there's a whole number of reasons it could be.
So Jay, you want the show back? Because I think I've run into the
No,
ground in
this
10
is the
seconds.
show. This is the show. So yeah, yeah. This, this is the
Nathan,
show. So guys, the theme of this year is New Year's Eve, of course, right? We're recording this on New Year's Eve. And Kierkegaard, life can only be understood backwards, but must be lived forward. So I've got a million questions around the theme. I wanted you guys to know each other. You're spiritually connected. Mike wants to say something though, and I'm interested in what he's about to ask.
well, Nathan, I wanted to actually just tell you a little short story. I think that the tile business is a wildly um, competent business. It was the first business I ever started.
Hmm.
So, graduated high school, I was like the best form of child labor my dad could have ever dreamed of. I was just really good with my hands, and he was an interesting character to say the least, with the volatility of types of work that he was doing as we were going through childhood. But when I graduated high school, I landed a job at Home Depot at the 11th store in Atlanta, Georgia, where Bernie and Arthur, the founders today, they're so famous for what they've created with that big box brand. They were still so involved in the brand that, like, I was managing I was only there for the summer, and they had already turned me into a manager, and I was managing the paint department. And that was back when they gave you like paint to mix. There was no machines. You were mixing that stuff, and you got good with the eye, right? Somehow I I was dealing with a customer on the tile aisle, and the lady's like, "Well, who's going to install this?" And I'm like, "Can't be that hard. Let me help you out." Well, ends up it was a little more difficult than I thought, but it taught me a lot about, the substrates, the installation of the tile, how to really do an amazing job, because I put a lot of care and, preparation into it. And even though it was my first job, it turned out really well. Well, before I know it, I got a referral. And then now I'm starting to get so busy with these people passing me around to do tile, right? It's kind of like my summer job that turned into a management position is now becoming less of a luster to me, because I'm getting $7 a square foot in Atlanta, Georgia, right? Where you have obviously suspended floors, and you've got to put down concrete board, and it's a little more complicated. But it was the thing that gave me my first taste of really good money and being in control of my time and having a relationship with my customer. Like, it was like the basic ingredients of entrepreneurship, but it was that first taste
Mm.
that said, like, I don't really have to depend on anyone else, and I can produce very, very well for myself. What do I want this to be? And I ran it up the flagpole pretty hard. It can be a very tough business if you're doing all the labor, but I got to tell you, it's a business that is totally scalable, and the passion that you have for it, you can tell, like, you like it. You're a little bit of an artist with it. You're actually I get the craftsman vibe from you. You
Yeah.
like stepping into that
Nathan
environment.
is me, but in tile. Now, the precondition to that is you have to, if you think in an inverted way of me, that might actually be a pejorative. But like the way that I approach
Nathan, he couldn't
culture.
lay tile to save his life.
Hmm.
No, in
Well, he
fact,
could.
my uncle fired me from painting the basement once because
Right.
I was too philosophical for that. Yeah, but
Your uncle's
or like,
so wise. He just the fact that he put you in the basement first tells me how wise he is.
You can just hear Jay Duran saying, "Do we really need to do the eggshell, or can it be matte
yeah,
finish?
whereas like no, but I have to actually
Are
recant
we
that.
really finished though, Jay? That's the
I
question, right?
guess the question I have for you, Fabi, on that is like, are if you could elaborate because I guess I have to backtrack because I said I'm too philosophical, but the proof that that's an incorrect assumption is Nathan is one of the most philosophical people I know, and this is how he reflects his philosophy through his. And if he could expand on that, and one of the reasons why I want Fabi and Nathan, you're both Eastern in your thought, and as you get to know each other, man, I can't wait to see that podcast, just the two of you guys. But so, Nathan, you could expand on that real quick,
Well, you have to tell
like,
me where everybody's from if you just throw out their Eastern. Where are you guys from?
I'm from
Uh,
Pakistan.
Okay.
I am from Eastern Ohio.
And he's a comic.
no, he's serious.
Uh,
He reads a lot.
Hold on, but what part? What's the city's name in Eastern Ohio? Because I mean, there's a lot of cities in Eastern Ohio.
Canton, Ohio.
There
So
you
it's one
go.
hour south of Cleveland.
So
Yes.
Canton, Ohio is where the Hall of Fame for football is, by the way.
I'm 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 6 minutes from the Hall of Fame.
There you go, man. I love that
Yes.
place. I love that
Yeah,
place.
it's wonderful. But to what Jay was saying, my I, I am second generation at tile work, and so once I started doing it, it took a good, I would say, 10 years to actually understand how to enjoy it. And once I understood how to enjoy it, I stopped viewing it as sort of a stepping stone of an occupation and decided that I wanted to invest all of my capacities into it, at least my mechanical capacities. And so when Jay says that it's a reflection of maybe an interior landscape, uh, I maybe Fabi, you would recognize a phrase or a saying like this, but I'm of the outlook, if you will. I don't necessarily want to say belief, but I'm of the outlook that anything that a person can learn, I don't want to say should learn, but anything that a person can learn about anything, they can learn through anything that the world has to offer them. And so I don't think that there's anything out there that I need to know about how the universe works and how about how reality operates, that in my present state, my present place, my present occupation, or whatever it is that I'm doing, I cannot look at and observe for long enough and recognize um, perhaps patterns or beauties about the way that things are. And so as I like that, Jay, viewing it as a reflection of sorts, because how it's maybe counterintuitive that a person can be musing in their mind all day long about Plato and Aristotle and Wittgenstein or teachers of the East while back buttering a piece of 12 by 24 porcelain tile and smushing it onto a substrate. But that is in fact what I've done for my whole life. I'm second generation. I'm now 36, and that's been going on forever.
But the cool thing, Nathan, is the onlooker seeing you put the tile in has no idea what's going through your mind. And
They have
that's
no idea.
that picture right there, that's the beauty of the whole picture that you just painted. Is
I
the
love that you see the beauty.
onlooker sees you just doing the tile work and
Correct.
passes by with no regard to even have a conversation. And
Correct. And I've had them.
that's why it's so important, like no matter who the human being is to
Right.
always respect the person inside, not who they are on the.
Hmm.
The mental
Oh,
And because
mosaic.
Yeah, and because of that very thing, it has opened up opportunities for me to have the most fascinating conversations with the poorest of the poor, all the way to the wealthiest of the wealthy.
Yeah.
I lived in Cody, Wyoming for 10 years, and I did tile projects for billionaires. I mean, billionaire families. And these ranches with thousands and thousands of acres, and I'm the lowly tile guy. And they speak with me, and then lo and behold, these conversations open up because they're maybe taken back a bit by this person who in 200 years ago would be considered a slave.
There's a
uh,
classic thing that the very educated and esteemed in Pakistan do, and if they're really, really, really well off, they do this, and I picked up on it, is when you're leaving their house, they walk all the way to your car with you.
mm,
They don't
Wow.
just say goodbye at the door. They literally walk all the way to the car and make sure you're seated in your car, your door's closed, you're reversing, then they start walking back to the house.
it's beautiful.
And I was like, wow, like when I picked up on that, man, I was like, dude, that is like intense. Like when you see that, like in the West, we're like, okay, see y'all later. Come back whenever you want.
Why
But
do they do that?
I don't know why they do that. I
I want to
didn't
make sure you're
ask
not
why.
taking anything with you, Jay.
That's so
They're actually patting you on the back, making sure you don't have any gold ornate
that's
silver.
They're making sure you're really leaving.
It's a trust. Yeah,
I love how you
it's
pick up.
actually.
See, this is why
Man, Mike, you just ruined that whole moment for me, bro. Now, next time somebody walks me to my car and back, they're like, here's your
No,
motherfucking
no,
fork.
I'm good. I'm leaving. I didn't take it. Show them your hands. That
Pat
was
me
good.
down.
By the way, here's your
Okay.
grenade back. I'm sorry I put it in my pocket in the
my
bathroom.
my assumption is it has something to do with service or recognizing.
I think that's the way I've always viewed it up until this exact moment.
Man, hey Fabi, did you have a word for 2024? Or if you didn't, what would it have been?
So for 2024, I think my word, I did have a word. I did. I think it was impact. I think it was impact. Yeah. So there it is. That's the word.
Why?
I think I was looking for it to be something dynamic in 2024. And to kind of, so I remember thinking about that as the 2023 was winding down. Like, what word do I want? What word do I need to hear? What word do I need to remind myself over and over again? It's interesting. The word mantra, when you break the word mantra down in Sanskrit, what it actually means is mant meaning mind, and tra meaning freedom from repetition and freedom. So when we
Mm,
repeat a word over and over again, we're actually freeing our mind, liberating it.
Wow.
And so when you use that word thing like we do in here, if we're just saying, impact, whatever, over and over again, at a certain point in 2024, I'm sure I was impactful or something impacted me, whether I realize it or not. And if I pause long enough, then I can actually reflect on it and acknowledge it.
elaborate on that for me a little bit. The connection, please. I was trying to understand what you meant, but the liberation through the mantra in the word impact. Is there an undoing there that will happen, or are you
I think what it
the
is,
aim of the word?
I think it's more the aim of the word. It's more of
Hmm.
where we're looking to attract something for myself. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
so the mind is held captive. I mean, I forgot, I think it was Ram Dass who said that after thousands of years of evolution, our mind has become our greatest threat, our greatest enemy.
Hmm.
Because, like, I want to control my thumb, right? I can move my thumb. It's just another organ or another part of my body. Well, the mind should be the same thing. But instead, we let the mind control our body.
Hmm.
And so by these mantras and by these repetitions of certain words over and over again, we can liberate ourselves from that entrapment of the mind.
So, is it that you would like to have more impact, or that you are
I think I
trying
did.
to?
I think in 2004. So as it turned out, and so now that I'm really thinking about this, I wrote an Amazon bestseller with Ginger Bell this past year.
Mm,
Now it was weird if you really think about the way the book came around. Was I was with Ginger in Orlando, Florida, where we were speaking at some summit, and I said to Ginger, I said, we should write a book. She goes, okay. I mean, I'd written a book before. She'd written several books. I'm on Jay's podcast, Springtime, and I'm
Wow.
busting Jay about his show the name of the show Culture Matters because like everything fucking matters, right? And so this show is Culture Matters. And I said, hey, Jay, you know what? Leadership
I love
matters
it.
also.
Yeah, yeah.
And the name of the book became Leadership Matters. And so when Ginger wanted to change the name around, I was really steadfast on making sure that the name stayed the same. Like I didn't want the name changed. Like it was that I knew that this was the right name for it. We wrote it so quickly. Like my first book took 3 years to write. This one took about 90 days.
Hmm.
And next thing I know, it's an Amazon bestseller into the mortgage category. I'm like, what the hell happened here? Like I couldn't have planned it. So we take that word
So
of 2024 of impact, and we talk about repetition of the mantra of freeing the mind, and really basically trying to free our mind to think we can do whatever we want to, right? Make an impact. And then next thing you know, in September, I get an Amazon bestseller. You can see the connection now, and I didn't even see this until you just asked
Okay,
me.
can you expand? Can you expand to like with the contents of the book? Because it's different. There's a lot of people involved in that, and I
Yeah.
think it
So
makes your
what we did
point
is we went
well.
through all the interviews of the podcast for almost 4.5, 5 seasons at that time, and invited all these people to write a chapter in the book because they were all either CEOs of companies, they were founders of fintech companies, they were serial entrepreneurs. And through that, Ginger and I said, okay, these are probably the 23 or 24 best stories that we have out of here.
hmm,
And we put them together. And now, actually, the next year, this year, 2025, we're planning to do workshops with it. So we're like Housing Wire just featured me and Ginger in a monthly article, Jay. So now we're talking about deficiencies in leadership and how to make that better. And it's like turned into a whole different journey by itself.
hmm.
So it
I
was
have a
pretty
question
cool.
for you. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to shout out episode 730 is actually for anyone listening to this that wants to go in that direction with Ginger and Fobby. We go through the book, so episode 730. But Mike, go ahead. Sorry.
And this has nothing to do with you, Fabi.
Cool.
You're a beautiful human, I can already tell. But this word impact is very interesting to me on how like the way people use it. So let's play a little game. And Nathan, you as well. Like, would you say the word impact is positive or negative?
Depends on the context, right?
Just knee-jerk reaction.
I mean, I
A
think of it
knee-jerk
more positive.
reaction.
What
Sorry,
is
go
it?
ahead.
That was impact right there. Everyone trying to answer at the same time.
What did Nathan say?
Oh, that's an interesting metaphor.
My
Yeah.
my first thought is the word is descriptive.
Okay.
I'm not trying to ruin your
No, no, no.
that's just my thought. The thought that I had was it was
Yeah.
descriptive.
Well,
See,
because I from
my
philanthropy.
legal mind went to interested like what's the context?
Yeah, because a lot of people use it in like
Mike, you're dealing
philanthropy.
with philosophers here. This
I-
is the point. This is a good. By the way, I want to make sure you guys understand. Mike has been chosen by the culture. He
Nice.
is there. You know that saying, Archimedes. You give me the lever, and you give me Nathan. Help me out here. Fabi, help me out. Which give me a lever and some time, and I'll move the world. What's the quote?
I can't.
Something
I mean,
like that.
so
Something like that, guys.
we all agree with that.
Mike
Uh,
is the lever, and people they gather. He's like the sun, and there's all this matter that moves around in orbit.
He's
And
magnetic.
What kind of orbit is this?
I'm sorry.
I was, I was
That's
taking
a
it as a
big
compliment
orbit.
there.
Yeah.
I was taking until we got to that, then I started getting a
I
little
was like,
less
Mike, I mean,
clear.
is there something we should know about you and your orbit?
This is so much fun. I'm telling you, every time I have a podcast with Fabi, I laugh and have fun. It's just so much
I
fun.
just can't figure that out, man.
I don't think I introduced him well at the beginning, like founded the board, the right board of advisors which is really a family that gathers around his gravity with regularity. And there's so much you guys have in common, like impact. You're all impactful people. You've all impacted me.
Hey, by the way,
So
Mike, what
just
were you trying to get
description
at?
would be you've
Negative or
impacted me.
positive with the word impact? What do you mean?
So I find, like with family offices, you get these individuals that want to create impact,
Okay.
and sometimes you just get people that maybe speakers, stage authors. They're searching for a way to describe like this higher purpose and value for their time. Maybe they've reached a level of success or something, and they're like, now I'm just focused on impact. Like, and it has nothing to do with you. But every time I hear that, I'm like, what are they actually trying to say?
Yeah.
Because
Mm.
because I always go to the dictionary, I go to the thesaurus, and I'm always with my members. I listen to their words, and I have just like a desire to help them in communicating their brands most effectively so it sticks, right? Like you only get a couple chances in life to really make a difference, not an impact, but a difference. And I think that's what they're searching for, is they're really focused on making a difference in a positive manner. But like the word impact, it's, if you look it up, like collision, crash, smash, clash, bump, bang, it has nothing to do with anything positive.
Yeah.
But this new generation kind of like has created a context around it that I think um, in your world there is probably a word that is going to resonate much richer and truer um, with what you really mean. Because like I feel that you're probably going after purpose, or like
I,
for
I
others.
I think words are always changing though.
And
Like,
that's, I was
Mm.
looking at, it's funny you
yeah,
said that, because what's that other dictionary? It's like the new dictionary for slang.
yeah,
What is that?
I don't know,
Mhm.
but I mean, just think about, like, to me, what cracks me up is the new generation says they hydrate instead of just drink water,
Yeah,
right? So I mean, I get it, right? It's like, but it's or you want energy when you want food. Um, so it's all these different things, but I
Look,
think for me, quite honestly, I mean, the way I remember that word, and I don't exactly remember the moment I thought of it for 2024. I think it was having a more of a positive impact and not a negative impact.
urban,
I don't think I would
the
want to have
urban dictionary.
urban
mm,
dictionary.
That's what they call it these days. So it's like,
So look up the word impact in the urban dictionary. What does it mean?
Oh,
yeah, I'm getting ready to.
Let's do that, man. I
oh,
want to.
it's going to be there's
it
going to be
might.
innuendo. It's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
it's
My
going to be
2025 word is going to be orbit.
Like bad means good or whatever.
I want to have orbit as my 2025 word. I'm going on record. Orbit.
Orbit. I'm writing it down.
But I want to define by Jay Durant as you described in this video. I don't want the general Webster's definition of orbit. I want the Durand definition of orbit. I mean, because
Holy cow.
that's, I mean, if you think about it, that's actually better, right? I mean, it's like you're going up and down instead of all circle.
Boy. So we've digressed. And Nathan, what would you say is your one of your main revelations from the year of 2024?
hmm. Well, that's a difficult question for me to answer. I'm a little bit too contemplative to just give you a quick answer about that. But if I were to perhaps just tap into a feeling of it, it would be that hmm, I think they were too dismissive of our negative experiences. 2024 for me was not a bad year; it was a wonderful year. I had many career opportunities open up. Um, and back to an original thing we were talking about, I don't want to disparage what it is I do within my industry, because within my industry there is a recognized sphere of influence that I'm cognizant of. I'm not just a joker or a clown. There are people that do what I do, and they appreciate the aesthetic that I bring to the tile world in the way that it impacts and influences them. But for me personally, um, mentally, we have an exterior facade and mask and the thing that we project, personas that we project into the world, and then we have that which is going on the inside. And 2024 for me on the inside was dark, but not dark in the depressive or negative sense. It was very emotionally um, exploratory. It went into places I didn't know that my mind could go. And through the process of that, I had to acceptance has always been a theme of my life. I'll say that. And a radical acceptance, though, I would say that would be a good way to summarize the nature of 2024 for me. It was a year of radical acceptance.
Hmm. Nathan, would you say when it comes to acceptance, the misunderstanding is that everything you accept, you have to like?
No, it's a neutral acceptance. It's an acceptance of existence. It's an acceptance of all things as they are, and including the times when you are places where you don't want to be.
Hmm.
Not necessarily physically in reality, but where your mind has taken you to places where you didn't expect to be. And that sounds dark, and I said dark, and I really don't mean that in a depressive way. I just mean that the mind is a powerful thing, and like you said, I think that many people are simply slaves to the mental chatter of the mind, and they think that the antidote to that is to kill it or to undo it somehow. And but there's something there is a you that can live in tandem with the chatter of the mind, and the you that lives in tandem with the chatter of the mind is the you that is the one who knows how to radically accept all things as they are.
Yeah, yeah, that's powerful, man. My meditation coach says a few weeks ago, he says, he goes, thoughts in the mind, they're like people on the street. You don't follow
Mhm.
them home when you hear them talking. You just let them pass by talking.
I love that.
Yes, yeah.
And I started
Unless
thinking
you're
about that,
too.
like, what if we started following everybody home that we heard talk on the sidewalk?
That's
How
what I was
insane
just
would
gonna
that be,
say.
man? Like,
Yeah, I mean, that would
sometimes,
be in alignment with orbit. I'm orbiting you. Why you
Well,
follow me
that
home?
was
My word is orbit 2025. I'm around your orbit. Sorry.
I like that you
that's
said
what I
that
was gonna
people are
say.
too
Is
dismissive of their negative experiences. Because Jay
Powerful.
yeah, that
tends
perhaps
to,
that's a homeless person that you ought to follow a little bit, and maybe that is what I'm saying is there are strings of thought that many people I think try to just cut, try and dismiss, and try and snip, and but those emergent things, those things that are inside of you that are constantly there, are the things that perhaps you ought to tug at a little bit, perhaps with a bit of humility and a bit of fear, but just to see what are these connected to? Where do these threads lead? Where is this homeless person trying to take me? Is he mad? Is he crazy? Or is he in tune with something that perhaps he's trying to show me? Now, a wise person, I think, most of the time would recognize that the homeless are homeless for a reason, and you shouldn't follow them too far. But if you're a mad person, perhaps you're following that homeless person because you're curious where they're going.
yeah, or if you're a person who does service, maybe you're trying to help them just to make sure.
Perhaps
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of reasons.
perhaps it's strange the things that you get to think about when you're laying tile, isn't it?
Or anywhere else. I mean, honestly, you could be on someone's podcast and have thoughts, and then have Jake give you this little
Correct.
thing, and all of a sudden it brings you back to reality.
Right.
What I think like when the way Fobby has done his business over the years with his customers is contemplative. He's more than just a debt dealer.
Mm, that dealer.
you're in the mortgage business, right, Bobby?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And that's
Yes.
the homecomings.
Mm-hmm.
He's more than just a debt dealer.
Tell me a little bit about that because I'm curious. And you're based where again?
In DC.
DC. Okay.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I mean, I'm stuck on this word debt dealer. I'm sorry, I can't get past that. That's it.
Like I don't do the
Uh,
ayahuasca because I have an interest as much as I have a relationship with my dealer.
Right. So you don't want to break the relationship with the dealer.
Like that relationship matters. They make
Right.
it safe. They create the and I'm people are gonna listen to this going to think I'm doing ayahuasca or something. But it's
You're
the
gonna
the
you're
that's
gonna
the
have
thing.
guy.
That's like
ayahuasca
this.
dropped on your front steps now.
That's two
Find your inner
podcasts in a
animal.
row.
Yeah. Find your inner animal.
Ah, yeah. Well, I haven't smoked cigars since November of 2020, nor ate the marijuana,
Uh,
or had the sip of the alcohol. So I'm starting to.
Good
mm.
good for
Maybe
you.
that's where all these podcasts come from. I'm screaming out for something
You
else.
know, the nice thing is that once your
Mike.
mind is clear of all that stuff, it begins to see everything.
Oh my.
It
So
can't
Mike, yeah, Mike,
can't unsee it.
you're more than just a debt dealer. What came in your head when you heard that? What came to mind?
Well, going back to with all respect to Mike, I thought of that as a negative connotation. It's like
I'm like, what's up with the
I
negative,
didn't see that. I
all the
didn't see that.
negative words here?
I didn't see that as like this positive come home. Everyone deserves to come home, shiny new house. You know what I mean? I thought of that as a debt dealer. Like I saw some guy from like Crime and Punishment or whatever the guy was.
Yeah, it sounded like
A tall.
Yeah, I just felt like I was in some old like 1700s European street sidewalk.
sounded like the
With a top hat.
door-to-door mafia hybrid of a pawn shop that just kind of collided with like hard money lending or something.
Yeah, I mean, we try to do a little bit better than that. But I mean, look, I mean, I think the mortgage process is what it is. It's I try to tell people like not everybody deserves to be a homeowner. That's just not possible. And so sometimes people don't like that statement, but it's the absolute truth. Like there are things you have to do to qualify in order for me to give you debt. So in order for me to deal you debt, you need to qualify for the debt. And not everybody does that. And so sometimes it's not a fun business, but I've been doing it. It'll be 31 years next week for me in the mortgage business.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you know that business inside and out. Mostly single family, commercial.
I've done both. So, but in all honesty, I haven't written a loan, like a real loan, in about 10 years, maybe eight,
You're
9.
you're
I
uh,
oversee a division of different multiple branches from Texas to Virginia.
for lender bank.
Yeah, it's an independent mortgage banker. And so it's it's got challenges, especially with the current market situation that it is that we're in. It hasn't been a fun 2.5 to 3 years, but at the same point, it's like I tell everybody, we're just going through it. We've had 45% of mortgage loan officers not renew their license.
So half of them went out of business.
Yeah, because they just couldn't survive.
And that was in what time period?
Since 2022 to about
So in the
2020.
last 2 years.
Yeah,
That brings a whole new meaning to your word impact. It's like what put the dinosaurs in extinction? The impact of an asteroid.
yeah. Well, I mean, basically, you think about it in 2020 when the rates went down to 2.5% and houses skyrocketed, right? So you had value skyrocketing, low interest rates. We did some say about 12 years of volume in 18 months.
Wow.
And I remember when we were doing all this volume, I kept thinking to myself, we are cornering ourselves. Like these people that are going to get a 2.5, 3% rate have no motivation to sell their house. Like,
And
and so where's the first time home buyer going to get a house in the next few years?
Oh yeah, like right now, it's exactly the situation we're in. It would be foolish to sell the house because
Yeah,
you're never, ever, ever going to get into that position again.
no, no.
Yeah,
So it's like you have this low rate, so it's basically as close to free money on a mortgage you'll ever get.
totally.
I mean, the difference between
Which is why when you said I'd like to, or so you have to qualify for debt. Really, you have to qualify for leverage because that's what you're extending people the privilege of leverage And there's an art and a philosophy to that, that it's a business case that you're putting together so that people can have the privilege to own their own home.
Yeah.
There's pros and cons to owning your own home. Like if you get in at the wrong mortgage rate, it's not the privilege that you think it is.
Or in 2008, I mean, Mike, when people were calling me up and saying, you know, we did this loan and now the value's dropped 20% and we can't make the payment anymore. And what can we do to solve this? I was like, I don't know. And they're like, well, we're just going to stop payment and give the bank their house back.
Yeah, we built an entire engine. It was a loan modification engine in 2006, seeing the chaos coming,
Wow, smart.
the dark times coming. It was called the short sale engine, and it was a module that would process a loan modification, but the big banks were too slow to adopt. So we almost went out of business trying to get them to believe in where we were headed. And we had high impact against that wall. And everybody then realized, like we're there now. But they were so slow to still react. We just went directly over to the agents, investors with basically it's the same process, loan modification. We just turned it into a short sale processing engine that would then, it was a tool for the investors and the realtors and the brokers to be able to process a very complex transaction. And you're right, it requires about 50 pages of documentation done in a very specific manner so that the lender can approve that modification to the loan or that reduction in the principal balance for the short sale, right?
Yeah. The funny thing is, if the banks were their worst enemy in that time period, because if you really think about it,
They were in denial.
yeah, it's like all they had to do, all they had to do to prevent what happened, right, was literally every homeowner that called and said, I can't make my mortgage payment. One question: how much can you afford?
Mod.
You know what I mean? How much can you
Yeah.
afford? You can't afford $4,500. Can you afford $2,800?
Yeah.
Can you do something?
Just just forbear it.
Yeah.
Forbear the defaulted, the arrears to the back end, re-amortize it, and start over, and
Well, there was
like
this one clever bank,
keep
Mike.
the money coming in.
There was a bank, Aquin, which is now something else.
I know, Lachlan.
Yeah, yeah. So they
Yeah.
came out this one product in 2010 that literally said, "Hey, tell you what, we'll forgive everything you've done, but we want 25% of the depreciation that you're going to gain moving forward. And here's the aggregate amount that we won't ever collect more than this if our 25% hits this, and that's it. The rest is yours. But if we work out a deal for you, we now own 25% of the equity increase in your
Yeah,
property."
they wanted to be an investor,
Oh
basically.
my God, I thought that was brilliant. I was like, it took 2 years, 2 years. And the reason it takes this long is because our legal system is so screwed up that you got to get the paperwork all done the right way, which, Mike, I'm sure you probably when you're trying to do the loan modifications.
Well, we would hit them with what was called an REO market analysis first thing. So the lender, I mean, we had a very specific process. We would put the property in a land trust, approach the lender with an REO market analysis and order a BPO to where we can get them to see the real current status of the value of the home. And if they don't accept a short sale, what it's going to be worth in the next 6 months, because it was trending down. So that $300,000 mortgage is only really worth, the asset's only really worth two. And in 6 months, it may only be worth 160, right? So there was a strategy to get their attention and get a quick acceptance on the short sale offer. So with that BPO and that REO market analysis, we would send in an offer letter with our intent at 190. If they said yes, we would never, like we could wholesale it, but we would never really, they'd give you an acceptance for like the next 14 to 30 days, which is never really enough time. But we would just go remodel the home, you know, put buyer traffic through it. 90 days later or 60, 90 days later, we just go back right to their commitment because it was still trending down anyway. And they were almost 90 times out of 100 super compliant with going back to their prior commitment because they were even in a worse position, really needing to get the file off the desk. It's just really the fact in business of dealing with motivated parties. You want to deal with motivated buyers and motivated sellers.
It's always interesting with the banks. Yeah, Jay.
In closing,
Hold on, no, but the thing that made our houses the best was the tile.
Nathan, if you were to sum up the world's problems and just offer us a solution in closing, can you please do that? We're on the Fobby's lap. I'm sorry.
Nathan, you have 20 seconds. Tick, tick, tick.
And just, I want to remind the
Okay.
audience, this is New Year's Eve 2024. We've been here since 4 a.m. We have Fobby Naghmi. We've got Nathan Merrill, Mike Calhoun. The party is just getting started. We're going all night, baby. Make sure you follow episode 694, Nathan Merrill's last visit. That's not what it's called. That sounds creepy as hell, actually. Especially I'm sorry,
very
brother.
dark, very dark.
Nathan's about Nathan's about to take
I'm
off.
gonna stop talking. Just end the show because I have a call. Let's all go to the next one. So yeah.
Are you guys going to the next one?
Solution. I want to ask them. Yes.
I have work to do. I actually have work to do today.
You're more than invited. We're here all day. I'd love to, bring you over.
I'll come back after lunch. How's that?
Yeah, just text me. Yeah, yeah. You'll be,
Cool. I'm in.
Yes.
I like this guy,
Nathan?
Fobby. Hey, Nathan, are you going to the next one?
I'll think about it. I'm not positive yet.
These
I might.
philosophers, he's going to contemplate this thing and the next one's going to be over.
Just
Well,
meet us on the one. Just come to the one. Come to the
Can I ask
12
Nathan
o'clock.
one question. Can I ask Nathan?
Yeah, please, yeah.
And I've been dying to ask you this the whole show, seriously. But do you ever dream tiles?
You don't want to know about my dreams.
No, but do you ever see them in your dreams?
Never,
Really?
never.
That's
I
surprising.
couldn't tell you the last time I dreamed about my peers. A lot of my colleagues and peers have nightmares about jobs going south and this and that. I've never had anxiety or a terrible dream about
Hey,
a
guys.
bad job or anything
Thanks.
like that.
Okay. All right. Well, good.
Do you ever
man.
play Tetris?
He's
I'm
got
very
to
good at
kill it in
Tetris,
Tetris. He's got to be amazing in Tetris.
I'm very
Yeah,
good at
yeah,
Tetris.
very-
he says.
As
Very
you know,
good.
Guys-
being a mortgage guy, we overload on Tetris. We
Sure,
leverage one side too much.
You guys rock. I challenge our audience to follow Fobby's podcast. I hope in this, at the very least, not only we get more listeners for Fobby's podcast. What is it? Laugh, love, eat, live, love, laugh. Damn it. Laugh, lend. Sorry, I know I always laugh. I laugh, lend, and
Gotta
eat.
get you some food next time you're here.
Hey, are they going to be
Yeah.
dropping rates? I think they are.
Slowly.
So it's
If you're listening to this part
so,
two,
it's
that's
so
the
hard.
open
It's
loop.
so hard to give you that answer.
Did you hear the interview with Trump where he was, they were asking if would Jerome Powell step down if he asked him to? Did you see that interview?
Oh, what a
He said
Trump-
no.
Trump
No,
goes,
Jerome Powell said no.
Yeah, no, Jerome.
Jerome says that, but then they're interviewing Trump, and Trump, they say, look, do you think Jerome would step down if you asked him to? And he goes, well, if I asked him to, probably not. Now, if I told him to, he would. I was like, that's hilarious.
You're listening to the Culture Matters
Unfortunately, I don't
podcast.
think the rate drops are going to affect the market, though. That's the biggest thing you got to take care. Real quick, Jay. I'm going to tell you something real quick. At 7%, $400,000 loan amount, you have 27 million qualifying for it, right? 27 million households. At 6%, 32 million household qualify for the same loan. At 5%, 37 million households qualify for the same house. So the lower the rate goes, the higher the host values go back up again. That's our problem.
Mic drop.
But
Share
the
this with your
competition
friends.
goes up, the
I
buyer
love you
goes
guys.
up, which is the competition, which is what you want, which
No,
drives.
because first time home buyer is the catalyst that starts everything, and we've locked them out of the market.
Correct. We got to get them back. I think it's going to
This
hit.
is awesome. This is
It's going to drop
this
four
is
times. My prediction is they're going to drop this thing 4 times the next year, not twice.
When you say 4, it drop, you're talking about the Federal Reserve, which has nothing to do with the mortgage rate. So I think the audience
correct.
knows that.
Yeah. Okay.
share this with a friend that needs a wake up call as relates to money
He's
and
trying to
mortgage
end
rates.
the show.
He's trying to end, and we're not
No,
letting it
Jay, we're
happen.
not going anywhere, man.
We will see
We're
next.
done.
It's what would be funny if we kept talking and his button stopped working, like it were
Right.
just, and he's like, well, it won't end.
I
And
just can't.
we would be launched into the Duran orbit.
I don't
You know what we
feel
should do?
right hitting yes.
We should
end.
create a vortex and suck the other people on the next call into
Yes.
our call.
Yes.
It's a reverse
You
osmosis.
should have like a chat room.
I
Like
mean, I could just send. Nah, that's gonna drive
you
me.
could
All
do a
right,
chat room and just have people come and go as they please. and
share
we'd all
this with
flowing.
someone that is lonely, and we will see you next time in the Culture Matters podcast.